If you're not satisfied with the roster in place, you're right. You're going to make small moves, and then everybody's going to scream at anybody suggesting that they do anything bigger than this. And they're going to get really mad when you suggest trading somebody who they love. But if you're going to take a big swing at it, the most logical name is Grant. Especially if you've already determined you're not going to pay him, that makes the most sense.
But then I think he's like the closest you have to a wing, though, in terms of
but
defense.
he's not a third. You're now looking for third options. This is what bothers me. You got your third option with Brogdon. That's what you got. That's your third option. That's supposed to be a good one. Like
he's just slumping right now, though, John. I don't think it's.
I'm with you.
It's not like Mazzulla sabotaging him.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying 20, 21, 17, 17. He had a stretch of 30s, but 21, 23, 19, 21. Those are his minute totals in December. That's not enough use for a guy who's clearly your third best offensive option by a considerable margin.
You don't think they're just managing him, though?
It's a guy who's averaging 20 points a game over the last couple of years. What's that?
You don't think they're just managing him?
Maybe, but you're not getting good use out of him right now. That's all.
There are nights you want to see it bump up a little more, and he, when I talk to him about this, I need to see him
playing 30 minutes. 30 minutes is not ridiculous. I mean, I know it's a guy who's hurt, and you want to get there at the end, and what happens now doesn't matter. But it's a guy who averages 30 minutes over his career, and you're playing him 22. It's not. It doesn't have to be kid gloves like this. It's just a little. It's not enough. That's all. It's not. If you're looking for more offense, that's your next best offensive player.
Well, so I did talk to him about this.
Because otherwise you're talking about Grant, D. White, or Smart to try to improve and find something else or more shooting or something. And we're right back in the same Smart herder type conversations that we had last year, where you're like, move out a guard and bring in more shooting. At the beginning of the year, you thought you had the shooting, so you felt better. And when you don't have it, now you're going to want it. I'm not saying do any of these things. Those are just the conversations you're probably going to start having if they continue to struggle offensively. If January resembles December offensively, and you head into February, those are the conversations that are going to be had.
Yeah, the minute thing with him is weird. And I asked him about it, like, are they just managing him here? He did have that little 3-game push where he did play more there against Orlando's and Indiana in that stretch there. And they got some pretty good production from him there, even without awesome shooting. But it does feel like they're holding him back for some reason there. And is it a coach's decision? In that case, you're wondering whether there's some ability to swap him in and out with White there. And if it's not a coach's decision, it is a little worrisome that you're that conservative with him, like 15 to 20. I didn't expect that to be his minute allotment most nights. And he can hit 30, as you see here on the log, John, but more often than not, they hold him back. And it's been a weird season from him. You talk about how he looked.
It's usually on nights where he just doesn't have it, though, right? It's not like
I guess so. Yeah, they get away
most
from him.
of the time.
Mazzulla
will make that. He will make that change. He's not going to say, okay, this guy has to play X amount of minutes, and we have to get him going. If a player's not, ask Peyton Pritchard, ask Sam Hauser. Obviously Brogdon's better than those guys, but Mazzulla, if he's not failing it, and he thinks that the lineup is better without him, he's not afraid to trim 10, 12 minutes.
And this might be who Brogdon is at this point in his career. Like we were all sitting here going, how'd you get him for Tyson? All these guys off the end of the maybe like after all these.
What do you mean at this point in his career? He averaged 33 and 30.
He's been hurt a lot, John.
I know. But look, here's the thing. I think we somehow I think people are like, you reduce minutes on old people because they don't have juice in their legs. A guy like Brogdon can get hurt playing 20 and he can get hurt playing 30, okay? He's just you pull a hamstring at one point or another because you're prone to it. He's not a guy you manage and like the reduced minutes are what are going to save him. I don't think he's that type of player. He just may be one of those guys that like he's just going to friggin' pull shit all the time because that's just how his body is. But it's not like some old dude who's only got 16, 18 minutes and then he falls off a cliff at 20. He played, again, in reduced amounts of games, 34 minutes a game the last 2 seasons when he was playing. I don't think it's a minutes thing with him. I don't think you're saving him. Like, you save old dudes, like this isn't that guy. He's not that guy,
That's got to be what it is, though, because I can't think of any other reason he'd be this limited.
Because
Again,
you
like Joe
have
Sway said,
Smart
maybe
and
it's-
White. Smart and White are here and they're established. What happens is I think Joe is struggling figuring out when to play him at the expense of who, and with whom. And that's where it comes down to where sometimes you're just like, so I'm going to swap out and bring in White now, and then I'm going to put out Smart back in, and then it's like, oh shit, I'm out of Brogdon minutes. And then you look at the box score at the end, he's like, I only played him 19 tonight, huh? I don't think he necessarily, I put it this way, I don't think it's a plan. I don't think he's being managed. I don't think it's a plan to save him. I think it's just how they're using him as a choice.
Tough. It's tough because he's got the shooting right now. He's still, I mean, even in the struggling stretch, he's shooting 37% from 3. But White's got everything else. I mean, I think White's a better defender, better screener, better driver and finisher right now. Maybe Brogdon's a better passer too, but
Brogdon's a much better driver and finisher than Derek White.
But not this year. I don't know what's going on with Brogdon.
Look,
Brogdon at the rim. I don't know.
That's his key. That's where he's had a weird stretch, but that's who he is. That's what defines him. That's what he does. Like, That's what he does. He gets there. Like, that's his thing.
10-footers. Yeah.
It's just not happening. So I think they're struggling having to figure out what they're doing. And so that's why I lumped Brogdon and Rob together. I think Joe's struggling with these two. Rob, since he's returned, and Malcolm all year, exactly how best to use him. Even if he's currently struggling just on this stretch because of an illness, I think it's an issue where Joe's not really certain how to play them.
Yeah, it could be. He doesn't always finish the games, and the games that he does go off or he has his better performances, it's usually the Celtics winning by 7-10 points. It's usually a game that's already been decided before the 2-minute mark of the fourth quarter. So maybe that's it as well. But I also just think it's the struggle. When he's struggling, Mazzulla will cut his minutes, but hopefully it doesn't carry over throughout this month of January because they need him. The offense needs him. He's a big part of it, obviously, and he's one of their best playmakers as well. So he's necessary for sure, whether he's scoring or setting up other guys.
Yeah, and maybe you do start to see him get in a rhythm if you give him some more time out there. So that could be a solution to kind of break him out of this stretch. Because you're right, John. He is that third scorer that you're looking for, and you could go with some 3-guard looks. And I prefer going back toward defense and really locking down. And if you're gonna depend on your transition game, you need a ton of stops. So I'm in favor of going back in the double big direction if you're gonna make a change here.
I think that's where they're likely to go.
Too.
I think that's where they're likely to go. But if you go double big, then you're going to really, have a goofy, White and White and Brogdon out there together, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But that'll be the lineup that you have there with Rob. We'll see how and then without Rob, with Grant and with Hauser, and then obviously one of the stars. It can work. But
it cuts out Hauser probably because you can treat Brogdon like a wing, and who knows, maybe even get Pritchard out there a little bit. It's not the thing in the world.
If Pritchard plays, it's at the expense of Hauser, and Pritchard plays, and you're going with a 3-guard lineup. You're going with small ball lineup with Grant and Tatum out there as your 5 and your 4, and
it's
then you're
tough,
going going with Brogdon as a wing. You're going small. If
you're gonna always be scrambling to help Pritchard out too, and I think that's a big reason Pritchard doesn't play. He saw that in that game he popped into, and the game he started as well recently. So. That's, again, why I look back at, is there a trade to be made at the bottom of the roster, consolidate that a little bit? Because then you could even bring up Kabengele into one of those roster spots if you do like a 2-for-1 or 3-for-1. And, I know JD's not going to play this year, but you do have G League guys to fill out those back-end roster spots if you end up doing a trade similar to that one like last year where you sent out Bruno and Schroeder and all those guys for Tice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think they make a trade this year?
No,
Could
nothing
happen.
major. I don't think so.
Yeah, nothing crazy, but it could happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not counting on it either because I do think there's a value to having those guys like Pritchard and Cornette who have been here for so many years, who played in the system. But again, it's an option. If things keep sliding here, they'll keep their options open certainly. But the good thing is right now, Tatum and Brown are both playing at such a high level. Rob's playing at such a high level when he's out there. Smart, again, no worries there. And Horford, I think Horford's Horford. Like, he's doing his thing. So the important guys on the roster right now are producing. White's in a shooting slump, but I don't have big problems with how he's playing right now overall. And the defense got up to number 1 over the last 7 games before
What's interesting,
this
because like,
collapse tonight. What happened with
yeah,
the defense tonight? Was this just a brilliant Jokic game?
it's lazy, and when you fall asleep,
The Nuggets game too.
yeah. I think it's just a 70%. It's a 60% shooting. It's probably that simple.
That's how good they are. This could
So
be
the Celtics missed
finals,
shots and the
guys.
Nuggets made them.
This could be a pretty
You hate doing the make-miss league thing, but sometimes it is that simple. But I mean, the Celtics didn't do themselves any favors defensively. They didn't really clamp down. They looked like they were going through the motions. They were walking around.
He torched the double teams.
He torched double teams. I didn't think Rob impacted the game defensively at all in his 19 minutes. I thought he was more impactful on offense, which is strange for him. But I don't think he made a huge difference there. I don't know that Grant did his Batman impression on Jokic there. I think Jokic is
just cooked everybody. This
He's
is a
just-
special Jokic right now.
he's
Same
just 7
threes.
steps ahead of everybody. Yeah.
unreal.